Patrice.
And I'm Michelle.
And welcome back to our channel, Wild Business.
So here on this channel, we review TV shows and as well as just talk about latest like hot topics in the news and different things like that, but mainly media news though.
Yes.
Yeah. So today we're going to be reviewing Married at First Sight season
13,
episode
5, Houston.
Yes, Houston. And let's just get into it. All right, you guys, so this is the first full day of them on their honeymoon, and they are currently in Florida.
Yeah, shout out to Florida.
And the episode first starts off with Bao and Johnny kind of speaking to each other. And if you see me looking down, it's because I'm looking at my notes and probably same for you too. So just a heads up, I have it on my phone. But one of the main things that I realized during this conversation is that Bao gave Johnny good insight into how she felt about his body. She said,
And she's attracted
in her body, right? But she said she is attracted to his body and to him. And I feel like Johnny really needed that because you can tell he's looking for little things to like hold on to.
Yeah.
To kind of say, okay, like I know she likes this about me, she likes this about me. So all of those little things he appreciates, especially because he said he's like pretty scrawny and you know, he just felt like he wasn't sure.
Yeah.
And she said that, yeah, that he is her type and that her hall pass is Conan. And I was like, okay. He's a talk show host, comedian with the red hair, red
Carrot Top?
Carrot Top hair. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so, but she said the reason why was because she likes the fact that he owns his quirkiness. So I was like, okay, you have a reason. Not saying, anyway.
Yeah.
That's them.
I think it's important to just point out up until this point, and they've only been married 4 days right now. Is day 4, right, in their marriage? Yeah, because they got married, and then that first night, because they probably left day 4.
Oh, they kept saying day 4? Okay.
Day 4 might have been the second part of the episode. Because we saw 2 days.
Yeah, I was thinking it was day 3 because they probably gave them a day to like get it together and then fly out.
Yeah. So up until this point, they've only been married 3 to 4 days. And Johnny still is waiting to get his cues from Bao that she is interested. He's still like teetering on. He doesn't know if they're like friends or if they're romantic. He's not really sure on her feelings for him. Just wanted to point out as well that while Bao was complimenting Johnny on his body, she also went to say that while she feels good about her body's not where it used to be, but she's still confident enough to where she walks around in bathing suits in her home.
Yeah, she has like a big collection of bathing suits, and for her that's a little bit more comfortable than lingerie, and she said she could just jump in a pool if she needed to. She's prepared, and Johnny was like, do you have a pool where you live? And she was like, no. And he was like, oh, okay. So Bao is definitely quirky, very quirky. She has her quirks about her. So next, let's get into Mirla and Gil.
Yes, Mirla and Gil, my favorites. Not really.
Yes, but no. So Mirla and Gil, so how did you feel about this part? Because it kicks off with Mirla basically critiquing every little thing.
Yeah, so the episode begins where them getting like room service, I guess it was, to their room. And we already know from last episode that Mirla's not impressed with the accommodations.
Not at all.
And she was also equally unimpressed with the breakfast that they prepared. She was like, okay, so they're just giving us fruits and
there's no protein.
There's no protein. She was critiquing about the milk. She wanted Gil to find out, to taste it for her, to find out, is it cow milk or is it almond milk? And she was very upset that it was cow's milk. Yeah, she just wasn't happy with anything. And Gil, as we know, was a little annoyed about that. He was like, I love croissants, you know, this is a great breakfast.
So this is how I feel about that. I personally feel like if you paid for that, like if you guys set that whole thing up and that's what you received, I understand critiquing it because I would have felt some type of way too. Because I chose this resort, I paid for it, that's not what I expected. But like, you're part of a show, like I would hope that she would be a little bit of a better sport. But I did like the fact that Gil said that at least she keeps it real. Like you can tell she's not fake. And she is who she is.
Yeah, she is who she is.
So you can take it or leave it. It's a good or a bad thing because it can be a lot, but then at least she's showing you her true self in the very beginning and not showing you her like presented self. I know there's another word for it, but like her presented self in a sense. And then
ideal self. We had the same conversation last time.
Yeah. So whatever self that is, she's not showing you that, and then when you get back home, it's like picky this, picky that.
You need
like,
to find out.
Then you can plan for a better honeymoon. You can be like, okay, this is like, just try to see the bright side of things, roll with it, but then know, like, when we get back home and everything's good and we're still together, then we can go ahead and book that trip to really have our honeymoon.
And I think Gil said that too. I think he said for our year anniversary we can go someplace. She was like, yeah, well, it's not gonna be our honeymoon.
Ciao. So let's get into Brett and Ryan.
Brett and Ryan, I am still definitely rooting for them because I like them. I like both of their personalities. I feel like they're both really trying to see if this can work. They really want to leave this experience with a spouse.
Yeah, they really do, and you can tell it's very genuine. And I feel like they seem pretty compatible. And during this portion for them, she was saying that she's waiting for that breakthrough conversation to really make them feel bonded, or to feel more than just like initial, you know, this and that. And I feel her on that. Of course, you want to make sure you have that connection. So yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
I did notice early on in the episode, Brett talks about he wants to, like, if he could, he would have kids right now.
Right. Okay.
Oh, right. Yes, if he could, he would have kids right now. And I'm like, I mean, I guess whatever floats your boat. Especially they're both, I think, deeper into their 30s. I think they're mid-30s.
Yeah, I think he's like 35. I don't know. I don't remember her, but I think he's 35.
Yeah, she's definitely in her 30s because she talked about that later on in the episode. But I think they can have a little time too. But I mean, to each his own.
Okay, so now we're getting into the second half of the episode, and this is when all of the couples get together by the pool. Everyone comes in couple by couple, and they're like meeting each other. Like, of course, the men and women already met, but now they're meeting as like pairs. And yeah, so first getting into Rachel and Jose, I did note that Rachel said that Jose exceeds her expectations. And she, is very happy with what she got. And at this point, Mirla's not there because she's doing work. But Gil really uses this opportunity to figure out, do a temperature check of each couple and like what's happened, what's not happened. Have you kissed? Have you not kissed? How do you feel about it? He's like giving me too much. Yeah, he's doing a lot. And
I think he asked it purposely with the intentions of saying we're so behind the game.
And he can use all of that data to bring it back to Mirla and say everyone else is doing X, Y, and Z and we're not.
Which he does.
So Rachel and Jose have no problem with like kissing each other, affectionate, X, Y, and Z. They're perfectly fine with that, and they even make out, which was like not uncomfortable to me, but like why?
Yeah, like I think because they made out in front of all the other couples, but it wasn't like random. Gil asked to see them perform, which is also like what? But Gil asked to see them perform because he wanted to know how deep into kissing they were. Like, are they just like pecking, or are they like full out making out?
What was the words that he used?
Tonsil hockey.
I know you will remember that. Because I know
like,
you hate it.
Are you 13?
I know you hate it. I knew you would remember it.
But yeah, so they decide to make out to show their skills, and it gave me very much, you know how sometimes, not categorizing anyone, but I think I've seen a lot of Hispanics are usually a lot more passionate. They're usually more okay with PDA. They always have their hands in each other's pockets. So I think that's why they were cool with it. I would have definitely been uncomfortable and looked at him like, we're not doing that.
We're not. I can like give you a pop kiss and be like, that's all you can see, because everything else is for me and him. So going into Brett and Ryan, so for them regarding like kissing and all of that, they have kissed. Obviously they kissed on the wedding day. They've kissed after that, but they are taking it slow and everything else. Yeah. Which makes sense. It's like day 3 or 4 or 4 at this point. So now we're getting into, so let's talk about what Gil was saying about Mirla. Gil took this opportunity of Mirla not being there to essentially rag on Mirla and talk about how she's super high maintenance and she's complaining. And he even was like, what do you guys think about the accommodations? What do you guys think about the hotel? And everybody was like, yeah, it's nice. It's this, is that. And he's like, well, not Mirla. Mirla's like, oh, this is a retirement home. Whatever. And quite honestly, the Florida Keys is a big retirement home. Who wants the honeymoon there? Yeah. Unless you're into fishing and stuff. Yeah. They may have been the only one, like, they could have gone anywhere else.
Maybe because of COVID?
Yeah, so or maybe that resort in particular is maybe more like secluded. Because I'm like, why still choose there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like even if she's not super impressed and that's annoying to you, I feel like that wasn't the time to say that as deep as he was going, because he went much deeper than that. Like, oh, she's like a super sour patch, pretty much.
Yeah.
And she's not there to defend herself, and you should be defending her. You're her husband.
Yeah, you should not be ragging her. If you want to bring up one little comment here and there about the different topics, like, oh, we haven't kissed yet, which sucks, or oh, Mirla doesn't like this place, but it's whatever.
Yeah.
But he went in, and I didn't like that, because now I feel like you're gonna run your mouth to everyone about me all the time, and I don't like that.
It was even a scene right after that, because after they're done sitting by the pool and talking, they go into the pool to play like beach ball or whatever it is, and he drew on the ball like happy face and said, "Oh, this is Mirla."
Did he give it lashes?
He gave it lashes. He did. I noticed that.
Good.
And nice full lips, because he talks about her lips are super full. And he was like, "Oh, this is Mirla standing," blah, blah, blah. And I'm like you're a child.
Yeah,
that was a huge no for me. Yeah,
big turn off. Big turn off. So that's what happened there. And then Bao and Johnny, were they kind of quiet?
Yeah, they came a little later too.
Yeah.
Oh, they also mentioned that was weird, like the whole dynamic of how Gil was talking about, like in their confessional. It was like, that's a little weird. Like, this is your wife, and this is how you're talking about her behind her back.
So during this point, everyone is like, where the heck is Zach and Michaela, right? So they give us an insight as to what's going on, and Zach has tested positive for COVID, and Michaela really feels the type of way.
Yeah, she's really sad. She's really bummed out. She says she's stressed. She says she's bummed. She says she's like she's just really, really down and out about him having COVID.
Nope.
Them having to. No, not him having COVID, because she's like, who cares that he has COVID? The problem is he has to be quarantined away from her.
Right. And she's like, I just want to be here with you, and he's like, I want you to be safe. So that made me feel like I completely get it. Like, you signed up for an experience. I feel like Michaela also wanted her honeymoon to be documented. That's kind of what I'm getting, because I feel like at the end of the day,
like, all my cute outfits that I have for you, I was like, you can wear them afterwards.
Right. It was giving me, you're here for TV, because I feel like you should want your husband to be fine and just kind of follow protocols and deal with it. Of course you can feel down, because like, dang, it sucks, you're sick, I can't be with you, and this would be a good opportunity for me to like show you that I'm here for you. But relax. Yeah. So I feel like she was doing too much, and I didn't really like that, because it's like, he's already stressed out. Don't add extra stress to him. Like, he has COVID. Okay?
And he was saying he was sick, he was exhausted, he was tired. So even if he was like, we don't need to be separate, he wouldn't be down to be out on the town exploring the hotel, whatever.
No.
Yeah.
No. So I didn't like that. I didn't like that.
She actually decides to fly back home. She thinks that's the best scenario, so that he can have the whole hotel.
She didn't decide.
She didn't decide. Who decided?
They told her that.
They told her that? Well, I think that was a good idea, because go home. Yeah.
Okay, so now we get into Johnny inviting Jose to help him pick an outfit out for Bao, because he wants to have a romantic dinner for her. How did you feel about him asking Jose though?
I can get if Jose is the one who you feel like maybe the most connection to, you feel like a friendship there.
Yeah.
I get that, but I feel like if you want to know what's going to please your wife as a woman, bring a woman. Like, Jose could have been there, but
he should have.
Why does he
Rachel.
know more about fashion than you?
Right.
You know?
Right. He should have invited Jose and Rachel.
Right, exactly.
Jose could have helped him pick out his outfit if he feels like he doesn't have any swag, and then Rachel could have given her insight for Bao. So that was a question mark.
Yeah.
And I feel like Jose was also confused too, just a little bit, because I feel like he seemed a little out of place, like a little uncomfortable. Like, maybe he felt like he wanted to get in his bag, but was thinking, why did you ask me though?
We'll see. We'll find out. Stay tuned.
We'll find out.
I just want to note real quick, when Johnny actually presents the outfit that he purchased for Bao, she looks at it, she's like, oh, so nice, da da da. And she looks at the price tag, she's like, did you pay full price for this? I'm like, first of all, why would he not pay full price? Second of all, I know that show was $20 or less. So first we're gonna bring up Michaela and Zach. Again, this episode didn't have a lot about them at all, just because he had COVID and he was quarantining away from, I'm sure, the crew as well as Michaela. But as she leaves to go back home to Houston, they both talk about on their own private cameras how much they miss each other. And I thought that was sweet, especially since they talk, like Zach says, it's already weird not sleeping next to her. I think that's cute. I definitely think that they have a bond. I definitely think that they are growing to like each other more and more and more. And maybe this will be one of those things, absence makes the heart grow fonder. So maybe this will be another thing to just tie them together more.
Agreed.
But that's about them, because nothing else going on there.
And that's going on.
So Rachel and Jose, Rachel actually plans this date out for Jose, and she decides to take him fishing. And he thought that was so thoughtful, because he shared with her, I guess already, that he likes to fish, and that's something that he enjoys, and that's something that she's never done. So I think that was super sweet for her to go and be intentional to make sure that they had something, or like she's taking one of his hobbies seriously.
She was able to catch a fish because she told him, like, I want to be able to do something on my own.
Yes.
Yeah, so she's definitely planting seeds. Like, I'm an independent woman. Like, yes, I want you to be there for me, but don't get it twisted. I can do things on my own. So I like that she's planting those seeds from now. So at the end of the 8 weeks, if she decides to not move forward, she can say, here's the camera roll. Here's every time I told you, let me do me for a second.
Yeah. Because Jose so far has been very big on, I am the man, I want to provide for you. Because even in that fishing scene, he was like, oh, you could just sit back and I'll catch us the fish. And she was like, no, I want to at least try myself once. I'm sure I can learn to do it, whatever. And he was like, are you sure? Are you sure? Whatever. She was like, no, I'm sure. I'm going to do it.
And she did.
And she did. And they end their episode with them being in bed. And while they're in bed, she decides to bring up her finances, and she talks about saving and saying that while she has a savings account and it has money in it, it hasn't really grown much. Meaning, like, maybe she's not checking forward, it's kind of an afterthought. She doesn't save as much as she wants to. And I feel like that was her saying, I know you're more financially savvy than me. Maybe this is an area you can help me with. But Jose took that and ran with it and said, no, don't worry about it. When we get back home, we can create an account and I can be on top of our finances. And Rachel was like, whoa, slow your roll. I want to always have my own account. We can have a joint account together, but I still would like to have my own account because I don't want to feel like you're giving me an allowance. Rachel has been very big on independence. Like, I want to still feel independent. I want to still be able to do things myself. And Jose even took this part to say, but I'm the man, I'm the head of the household. I want to be in charge of our finances, whatever. And she was like, well, I feel like if we're doing things jointly, I would like things to be split 50-50. Yeah, she was like, I want to know that I'm contributing. Because he talks about how he wants to have this big elaborate home, a 2-story home for them as well as their children that they potentially have in the future. And she says, well, I don't know what kind of home we would have, because whatever home we have, I want to know that I'm contributing 50% to the household. What do you think about that?
I think every marriage is different. I think you have to do a mix, makes you guys feel comfortable in your particular marriage, whether it is joint accounts, separate, whatever it may be. You can't judge someone's marriage for doing something differently. I know I didn't walk into my marriage thinking that everything has to be split 50%, but that's because we have a joint account and we don't police each other, but we know after a certain limit we will at least talk to each other and be like, hey, so this is X amount, what do you think about this? And kind of go from there, opposed to like feeling like, oh, well, you can't be doing this and you can only do that, or giving an allowance. We also did once where it was like, or before, where we had like our own little like spending accounts. I know couples typically do that. I just feel like you have to do what works for your marriage. And I feel like I'm very big on, you don't have to always say it over and over, just do it. Like him always saying like, I need to lead, I need to provide. I feel like you can just kind of, by your actions, just show that, but still make sure that you make her feel like she's comfortable and independent, especially since Jose is giving Team too much, like with the feeding and all of that.
Yes.
Like, yeah, that's what I feel.
And she repeatedly has to say, like, I'm not a child, like, I'm an adult, I can take care of myself. There was another thing too. Hold on. Okay, so the next thing that I noticed in the same conversation that they're having, this is their pillow talk before bed. Jose says, well, when we get back home and the show's over, you can move into my house. And she's like, wait.
That's always a problem.
Yeah, that's like, always
on
a
the
problem.
show.
Because people are used to their homes. They like their home. This is where they live. Especially if they like their area. They're close to work. You know, blah, 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 blah. Especially if they feel like my home is better than your home. But Rachel goes and says, I think we should get a place together, because if I move into your home, it's always going to be your home. I'm not going to feel comfortable because this is a home that you got by yourself. And I understand that. I understand her saying that, especially with the type of language that Jose's already used, like him being the head of household. Him, like, if this is his home and you're moving into it, I just...
Things will be out of, like, if you have something different to him and may feel out of place.
Yeah.
I was making that face not just now because I was thinking about how I would feel. And I feel like, it depends on the guy that you're with. Because I can see, like, with my husband, I can see him having a home, me, like, moving in and making it our home.
Right.
But that's because he's not someone who's big on, like, things need to be a certain way.
Right.
But if you're with someone who's like that, or someone who gives you more of that, like, extreme dominance, then it's like, yeah,
you might have to.
Right,
because I feel the same way. I definitely wouldn't mind moving into my husband's home if that's how our life was set up when we had met and when we decided to get married. But the same thing, he isn't like the super, like, I'm super dominant, like, in our relationship, we both have full control of our accounts. Like, it's not like you're the head of household, you do the budget. It doesn't work like that at all. And so I think it's good that they're having all these hard conversations down, because these are the things that essentially lead people to divorce. So it's good that they're getting it out on the table so that they can make their decision knowing exactly, like, what it is.
Agreed.
Cut that out. Remember to cut that out.
Wait.
So there was a part too where Jose says, when he talks about them having one account, he says, well, what's yours mine and mine's yours? How do you feel about that?
I mean, I agree. Let me run that back, because I wasn't really, okay, run that back. Can you say it again?
So
no, never mind. I could just answer. What do you think about that? Cut. Okay. I feel like for a marriage where you guys are both understanding that you guys are one and it's joint, I agree. But again, it depends on that. But I feel like I agree. What's mine is yours, and what's yours is mine. Because we're one.
Yeah, I agree as well. That's how things are run in my household, so maybe I'm biased.
Yeah.
But in the context that it was brought up here, Jose brings it up because, you know, Rachel is fighting for still having her own account, even if they have a joint account together. And maybe that was, I don't know, I just feel like he's like trying to power play it.
Heavy on the power play.
Yeah.
Heavy.
And so I understand her having hesitancies.
I get it. Yeah. If I was, and Rachel, she mentioned this, or I think her family mentioned this, that she's very, like, take notes. Yep. So I know she's taking every note and keeping it in the back of her mind, because girl.
Yeah, and she should. That would be an issue for me.
Which part?
All of that. Jose would be an issue for me.
I don't like a guy like that.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to, like, big up your chest to me every second.
That's the exact thing, like the I'm a man, hear me roar.
We get
Not
it.
my type.
No, we get it. Who's left?
Girl, 3 of them.
Damn.
You know, like we said, Johnny went and bought Bao a nice outfit. That's because he planned a picnic for her. And Bao was super impressed. She was really happy. She thought it was so thoughtful. And she even mentioned, like, she's never been on a picnic before. So she felt like that was really romantic. This whole time in the preparation for the date, Johnny's like, upping himself up to put himself out there and to share with Bao that he actually really likes her, and he's growing to like her more and more. And he shares that in the past, that's not something that he's done. He usually like waits to see where the woman feels, like is she feeling me, is she not, and he decides how he feels based on that.
Yeah, which is, when he said that, I was like, oh my gosh. I remember that part.
So he puts himself out there, and he shares that, you know, he really is starting to like her and grow deep feelings for her. And she says the same. She says those feelings are mutual. She actually literally said it's mutual. And I was like, you're so whack.
Dry.
Yeah.
Very dry.
One of the things that Johnny mentions to her, I think during this date or shortly after, is that in the past, whenever he's seen qualities in people that he didn't like or that he felt like wouldn't mesh well with him, he would leave right away. And so he said that he's actually been on over 100 first dates. What do you think about that?
John.
And he said, because I know I can just get back on Tinder and get another girl.
And that's a problem, because now you're always thinking that there's always an option. Which, I mean, it is true, but you have to find yourself not critiquing every little thing about someone and kind of taking it for face value. And I feel like maybe him coming on Married at First Sight, whether they stay together or not, will show him that you have to take someone for their good and their bad. Especially if you like love them and you really care for them, you have to take that and kind of balance the two. It's not like oh, well, you didn't do this, well, I'm out. Like, if you do that, then you'll be married 100 times too.
Yeah. Anything else about the intentional?
The last part, right? Because you're sharing how everything ends, so you could talk about the...
Oh, okay. So big turning point for Bao and Johnny, who up until this point, I think we've been seeing them progress well. Johnny actually makes a joke on Bao saying like, I couldn't get any sleep last night with you snoring. Your snoring was so bad I actually had to go and put on headphones. And Bao had already shared in her confessional that she knows she snores and it's a big insecurity for her. She doesn't want, you know, her spouse to feel uncomfortable. So him saying that was a big insult to her. She took it to heart. She took it very personally, and she was actually really sad about that. So she kind of just blew it off at the picnic, but she brings it up later while they're having pillow talk right before they get into bed. And she shared that in the past, while she was away at like some leadership camp, she didn't sleep at all while she was there because of the fear that people were going to hear her snoring, and then, you know, she was just going to be a pest or a nuisance. And Johnny tries to comfort her by saying, you know, snoring is not a big deal. A lot of people snore or whatever. And she feels like that's him being, what's the word? Like not taking her seriously, making fun of her. And she like is really upset now that he said that. And the episode kind of just ends like her saying, okay, well, I'm going to sleep. And him saying like feeling like it's another situation similar to how she reacted to her receiving the sports jersey from him. Like him just blowing this out of proportion.
Yep.
What do you think?
That's just her nature. You can tell she's very particular about the little things because she gives me perfectionist. So because of that, like any little critique in that sense may kind of throw her off and make her feel off balance, and then make her go into a spiral of like overthinking and thinking, well, I'm not this and that, whatever. Or like, oh my gosh, this is how this person is if they do this. So yeah, I feel like that's something that hopefully he helps her overcome. Because you need to relax sometimes. Like everything is not that deep.
In Johnny's confessional, he says like, maybe this is a red flag that I keep seeing. And it made me think like, so for me personally, snoring is not
it's
a make or break. It is annoying. But yeah, it's just one of those things, like you don't know what you're gonna get. Are you gonna leave the person because they snore?
Or you're gonna try to help figure out how to deal with it.
You're gonna get them a neck pillow so they trachea could be extended so that they could breathe.
Good tip. That's a good tip.
and then Bao mentioned, oh my gosh, Bao mentioned if snoring is going to be an issue for you, and not like it's an issue for him, because it's an issue for her. She was like, so since you brought up my snoring and maybe we should sleep in different beds. That's so dramatic. Different beds.
That's so dramatic. That is so dramatic. I feel like you have to kind of take that as it goes. Like for example, with my husband, when we so we have a baby, and when the baby was like, when our baby was like really young, at that point, like he was exhausted, my husband. So his snoring was, he snores, but his snoring was off rip. But the snoring became too much, and it was waking up the baby. So at that point, I had to like kick him out sometimes, because I'm like, yo, listen, this baby is waking up every 2 hours anyway. I need you to go, so I can sleep during these 2 hours and then wake up when this baby wakes up. So, but that wasn't like a first thing, like, oh my gosh, like first quarter. I mean, it's for a particular reason. So you just gotta take life as it goes.
Yeah.
And relax.
I think maybe I'm a light sleeper. Maybe-ish. Yeah, I don't think it's a big deal. You just fall asleep before the person that's snoring. Hopefully. So, for Brett and Ryan, their date on their honeymoon, Ryan actually, I don't know if it was Ryan who set it up. Maybe it was both of them, but they go and they get a massage. And during the massage, Brett says that she really wants them to have a more intimate conversation, because she feels like everything thus far has been very superficial, and they're not having the conversations that people who are married should be having. And I can see that too. Everything seems very surface with them so far. The only thing that they seem to have talking about that's anything deep was just like sex, and even that was just like, so sex. She was like, no, and that was it. So Brett tries, she initiates the conversation. I think at that point she was talking about what?
Children?
Yeah, she was talking about children. And he answered really quickly, and he was like, okay, moving on.
He was like, anyway.
Yeah, she was real hurt by that. But the end of the night, we see them in a hammock. And Brett talks about it's her first time in the hammock, so like Ryan opens it up for her and like makes room for her, etc. And in that point, they actually did have some deeper conversation. They talked about children, like Brett was trying to. And I get from Brett that she's really scared about children because she feels like maybe she's a little too old. Because she talks about when she got to her 30s, she thought about freezing her eggs, but she was like, more than being a mom, I don't want to be a mom and a single mom. She wants to have a family. So because at that point she didn't have a man, she's like, why am I going to go freeze my eggs? Freeze my eggs for what?
Right, what am I preparing for?
Right, so I think that's why she keeps bringing up children and saying like, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It's not because she doesn't want children. Maybe she just feels like maybe like it might be difficult for her to have them.
It really depends on you though.
Yeah.
It really depends.
So
we've seen 40-year-old women.
We have.
Yeah.
So she shares that with Ryan, and she shares that I do want to have a family though. I want to have a husband, I want to have children. And I think that opened Ryan up, because up until this point he kind of felt like maybe Brett doesn't want children, and that was a non-negotiable for him. So since Brett opened up and shared that, he was like thank God, because that was the one thing that I was like, okay, our marriage isn't gonna work if you don't want children, because he knows he wants
to be a
children.
dad.
Yeah,
very present dad too.
So them saying that like both like was a sigh of relief for them that they're on the same page. And then he actually shared like he does feel like he's grown to like her, and she expressed the same. And then they just want to make sure that they're in it for the right reasons, and they're not just going through the motions, and that they end the experiment or the experience with a spouse. Yeah, so they both seem very happy. Yeah, they both seem like, I think they're both being very genuine.
Yeah.
I mean, I like them together. I like them for each other.
Me too. I like them for each other. I feel like they're gonna both bring different things out of each other.
Yeah. What do you think about if she's not able to have children? Like if they stay together and they find out further down the line that she's unable to have children?
Well, I mean, it goes back to like their individual principles and their like principles together. Not principles, I guess that's kind of a dramatic word, but like, what are you open to? Are you open to adoption? You know, are you open to IVF? Are you open to like just accepting the fact that this may not be a thing? Like, what is that? And I feel like those are some conversations that need to be had for sure, because you never know. Like, even besides the fact that she's in her 30s, like you just never know. You know what I mean? So
you could be 20 and unable to have children.
Right, exactly. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah, that's definitely the roll of the dice, because it's just one of those things you can't really control. It just is what it is.
Yeah.
But thankfully now with adoption as well as with the progressions of medicine, there are other options. But I personally don't feel like, if I'm already married to you and I love you, the fact that we can't have our own children, while it might be extremely hurtful, is okay. Now we're getting divorced, so I can have children with someone else.
Yeah. I mean, if that's a very strong desire for you, then you just need to. I can't even say get with someone who already has a kid, because that can be their only kid. It's like, it's really, you just never know. So you can have that strong desire, but understand the next person you get with, the same thing can happen. So
it's just because even like I'm thinking about, I know someone who had a child and then tried for years for the second child, and still to this day hasn't had a second child until the point where they're like, no, for you, now I'm done.
Yeah.
You just don't know. It just is what it is. Yeah. At this point, yeah, you haven't been in a relationship in 2 years. You haven't had sex in 2 years. You haven't been kissed in 2 years. But who cares? You in a relationship now.
I feel like, I don't know if this is married at first sight, kind of like pushing them, but I feel like whenever someone has a particular thing about them, it's always,
that's the thing.
like, what's her face?
I'm a virgin.
Exactly. Oh my gosh, we get it. You have not had sex. We understand. I mean, it's a part of their story, but still, not every scene we need to hear that. We know, girl. We know. We know.
It's not a big like, okay, moving on.
It wasn't like it was 10 years.
Yeah.
It was 2 years. Okay. Like, jeez.
So yeah, Mirla and Gil.
Mirla and Gil.
So Gil actually surprises Mirla with their date, and he's taking her on a helicopter ride over the ocean. And Mirla's kind of like, and she shares that she's motion sick. She has motion sickness, and she's not sure if it's something that she wants to do. She's not sure if it's something she's able to do. And Gil's in his confessional like, another thing. And at this point, I'm already a little bit team not Gil. Because I'm not team Mirla, but I'm not team Gil.
I'm not team, and I'm not team them together. I feel like Mirla has to get with a particular guy. I mean, I know they're on a like retirement resort, but I feel like the perfect gift for Mirla would have been if they were like in Miami or something, taking her to like Bal Harbor shops and like saying, hey, like pick out something special so you can remember from our honeymoon you bought this. That's the type of guy, and I feel like Gil's not giving me that. Gil's giving me sentimental and new experiences, and Mirla's like, I mean, what is it, a Chanel bag though?
And she said that too. She said that. He was like, so what if I give you a quilt as a gift? And she was like,
is it a quilt?
Back?
Right. Does the quilt say Chanel on? Hello. Like, can we get to it?
Be realistic. Be real with yourself. Yeah, it's a homemade gift. Yeah, you made it with your hand, but it's a quilt. Where is it going to go?
She did say, like, what am I?
Like what am I going to do with it? For real though. What am I going to do with it?
Yeah. You have to get gifts for your spouse, knowing your spouse. Knowing what will make them happy.
And she likes a bag.
Yeah, book her lash appointment for her.
Okay.
Cover it for the next 2 months. That's what's going to get Mirla. If that's not your type, that's not your type.
So Mirla does decide to go on the helicopter experience with her, and I'm very proud of her for that because she didn't have to. And while on the helicopter experience, she started to get really queasy. She started to feel nauseous, and the pilot was like, "Well, there's some bags in the back, whatever." I really felt like disgusted by that. Like, that's gross. But that is gross.
She's so hurt.
But I just wanted to say, like, motion sickness is not being difficult. Like, you're motion sick. Because, like, in my experience, I love a good thrill. I love the big roller coasters. I love all that stuff. And my husband has motion sickness, and we didn't figure that out until like our second trip trying to go on a roller coaster ride. Because the first one at the fair, he was down, and after the first ride, he was down and out. He had to sit the rest of the time head down, like trying to sip on ginger ale to keep from throwing up. And he was like, "Okay, let's test it again." So after the second one, I was like, okay, yeah, this isn't for you. And it's just one of those things like, okay, this is not something that we could do together, but it's not a make or break.
It's not make or break. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. I feel like with motion sickness, she's not being difficult. Like you said, it's just something that, who wants to deal with that?
Yeah.
For the sake of an adventure.
So I see a lot of Gil this episode, and he talks about I don't know if he's talked about that here. We talked about that here. Her skincare routine and her lashes, and Mirila's very extravagant, okay, and that's good for her.
She has a routine for herself.
She has a skincare routine, and I feel like most women do. Whether it's just they wash their face with bar soap and they go to bed, or they have a 6-step or 18-step routine, that's their routine.
Let them do that.
You know, and Mila seems to have good skin.
Yeah.
So I'm sure she wants to take care of it and preserve it.
Right.
And Gil is like complaining that it's like an 18-step ritual she does every night, and it takes so long, and blah blah blah. And like, do you want to be with a man? Do you want to be with a man?
I feel like everything is kind of like, it's one thing after another. I feel like because of that, like maybe if she wasn't so vocal about, or let me not say so vocal, because you should be vocal. If you feel some type of way, you should share it. If she wasn't the type of person who was very particular but happened to have a routine, a skincare routine, I feel like he would just be like, oh, okay, like that's your thing, whatever. But I feel like because it's one thing after another to him, he's like, oh, look, now she got 20 steps. And, you know, her skincare, and now she has to, like, you know, sleep with her face covered, and, you know, I can't speak to her, you know, like he's being dramatic because he feels like everything is one after another.
I think that they're not gonna work if he doesn't take the time to appreciate what she does offer, what she does have, because she keeps herself. You could have been with a slob. Would you like that? You know, like, just appreciate her for who she is, because she appreciates you. Like, she mentioned that she likes that he's a little bit more laid back than her. Maybe that's what she needs. But he hasn't seemed to have said anything about her in a positive light. And so it makes me happy for Mila that she's keeping herself to herself, because this might not be the guy.
That's true.
This might not be the guy.
All right, you guys, we hope you guys enjoyed this review / chatty, us giving our thoughts about the episode. This is very on brand for us, exactly what we do. So we hope you guys join us next week, as we'll be reviewing every week. And I'm Michelle at Modeling Michelle.
And I'm Patrice at Patrice Be Just.
So you can follow us on Instagram, and we will see you guys next time.
Oh, and make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and share.
Please. And we'll catch you guys next time.
Okay.
Bye.